All right, let's get to linebacker. Got a lot to talk about there. Overall thoughts on the group, just holistically, before we talk about names here.
Overall, I'm high. I'm higher on the group than I was in spring. Shemar going down, of course. I think he's going to be is what it is. We didn't get to see Teradja Mitchell in spring. He was healing up a little bit. But just watching with Shemar down, what we're hearing, a lot of these guys are stepping up, and I think we got quality depth at all three slots. There's gonna be some drop off from Shemar because I just think he's a different type of linebacker. He's gonna be a household name, I think, if he's healthy. I think a lot of people gonna get to know exactly who Shemar is game one. But overall, on the position, they flipped the room. Our linebacker has been a struggle. We had a lot of tweener guys in the past, athletic safeties that were trying to make linebackers. We got a room full of pure linebackers. Want to see how Derek Wingo plays out. Been hearing good things about him. Just want to see more of it, but complete flip of the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's run through that list of names real quick. Hold on one second, Nick, just so everybody knows the names that we're going to be talking about here. Shemar James, Derek Wingo, Scooby Williams, Teradja Mitchell, Deuce Spurlock, the transfer from Michigan, Jaden Robinson, the freshman, and Manny Nunnery, the transfer from Houston. There are two walk-ons, Kenny Anahi and Justin Pelak in that group as well.
I think it's Pelak.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
But Pelak. I think it's Pelak, but Anahi. Sure. Look at you. Look at you. I think my question, Silk, we're bringing up the what you called the midget tight end, the slow midget tight end from Utah. Is Shemar James? Can Shemar James cover Brant Keithy, who I told you would kill Florida last year based on knowing the linebackers that Florida had and went for like 9, a buck, a 4, and a touchdown.
And caught in hell.
Yeah. Most importantly, he got that.
He did. Add that. That's his 10th catch.
I expect to mention that. Yeah.
10 catches.
He's a talented guy. And he's a release valve. Like that's a good spot for him, right? So I think
he's also coming back from an ACL injury too, but his was earlier than Rising's.
Right. So I expect him to have a good game again, but just won't be enough again, Nick. So I think Shemar can run with him, but that guy's gonna get his. He's an NFL tight end, so he's gonna get his. I think. I don't want to get too far into the Utah game, but the Utah game is going to come down to them being able to run the ball. They're not going to be able to drop back and just pass on us, bro. We're going to push that pocket. We're going to come off the edge with that new Uno. It's going to be a different type of game than what people think is about to happen in Utah, bro. I can't wait to get out there, but they're going to have to be able to run the ball and slow down that pass rush in our defensive line. If they trying to drop back and throw to that tight end, it's going to be murderer's row.
So Dan touched on it a little bit with Teradja. They kind of just like put him in bubble wrap in the spring. He's a guy who had an injury last year, has had some injuries at Ohio State. Came in, and I was so impressed. First practice that we walked into, he's calling plays and calling checks out. And I'm like, okay, this guy's been here 3 weeks, and he's already leading and commanding the defense. So I was impressed with that. Maybe you should expect that from a 6-year guy, but it's a brand new defense, and that impressed me. I've been impressed with him sideline to sideline. Like, I don't think he's as athletic as Shemar. I don't think he's as athletic as like Scooby or as fast as those guys. But like a Zach Thomas, Ray Lewis, they might not have been the biggest or the fastest, but their instincts and the way they can run from sideline to sideline, they put themselves in position to make plays. So I like that. I like Teradja Mitchell. I think he's going
sorry, Nick. I'm just going to write down that you're comparing Teradja Mitchell
Zach Thomas and Ray. I like that.
I'm just saying smaller.
When they go positive, he go positive big.
Yeah.
He go positive.
Could have easily just said like an Antonio Morrison. You know,
right.
He could have. He went for the big dog, and I appreciate that, Nick. It's what brings us the best content out there.
Shout out to Hall of Famer. Finally, Zach Thomas. Finally getting his just due.
Man.
Yeah, and then Derek Wingo is a guy that hasn't been healthy, just hasn't had the opportunity. He's had a crazy career because he was a edge rusher at St. Thomas, came in the 2020 year, and guys started getting COVID, guys started getting hurt, and they're like, hey, by the way, now you need to learn the Mike and the Will and the Sam. You need you to learn all 3 spots because you might have to start next week, and then I think the Mizzou game got canceled. But After that, he's had shoulder injuries. He had a shoulder that needed surgery. Then Ventrell got booted out of that game, and Wingo was going to have to start against FSU. He broke his foot on the Monday of FSU week and played on like a broken foot that ended up having to get surgery. So we talked to him on Saturday, and he just looked so happy to not be injured or not be playing through something. To me, it'll be interesting to see, does he take a step? Is he in a rotation as like the third guy? What does Scooby do? Scooby's a guy that they tried to move out to edge. They moved him back. I don't know what Scooby does. And then Manny Nunnery, can he get in the mix? It's a deep room. Like you said, so you flip the room. You lost like 120 starts.
That's
120 games played between the two linebackers that were drafted.
You flip the room, you bring in a couple guys, Manny Nunnery, Deuce Spurlock, and Teradja Mitchell. And then, now you're counting on those guys. Your Shemar James, you recruited him. Derek Wingo, you inherit him, but a guy that was a highly thought of guy, Scooby Williams, again, a lot of fans were very, very excited when Florida took him from Alabama. Jane Robinson is a freshman, right? So like you flip the room, but there's just a lot of names right now, right? Not a lot of production. Teradja Mitchell, highly thought of guy, injured, I think almost every year he was at Ohio State, right? Deuce Spurlock, redshirt freshman. So imagine, a guy that just sat on the bench at Florida last year, right? So again, Jaden Robinson, a guy that, Florida gets, flips him from South Carolina, I believe. But again, those are some names. And now you need your Shemar James and your Derek Wingos and your Scooby Mitchells. And you need those guys that transferred in. And the guys that you went after, and Florida was very picky in the transfer portal this year. It's just a lot of names to me right now. And I'm hopeful. And I know that Shemar James, in my opinion, can be very good. And I think Scooby Williams and Teradja Mitchell can be good. I want to start to see it out of Derek Wingo. Again, he's healthy. But right now I have some concern just because we don't know, in my opinion, what we have. We have some athleticism. We have some talent, but we just don't have like the proven skill set.
The best thing these linebackers got, this was a front four in front of them. Like that's a linebacker's dream, is to have space eaters and guys that are causing havoc up front. And they can just roam free. You're not getting linemen getting on the second level, and they got to deal with that stuff. So that's going to be the biggest blessing for these linebackers. And I believe in Teradja Mitchell. I know like Shemar has the biggest upside, and that's the young phenom. But just being around Teradja, we did some content with him with Nick was there. With Beyond the Chump show that we rolling out, just his leadership. He was trying to itch out of there to get to the weight room while he was there. He's rushing the content a little bit because he had to get over to the weight room to lead. So I just like the quality of guys they brought in. I believe in their skill set, but most important, like I was saying, that front four defensive line is very important to linebackers having good years and being productive.
Keeping linebackers clean.
Facts.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Derek Wingo. He was named to the Warfel Trophy award list, or a watch list, which is college football's premier award for community service. So shout out to him. Assuming Shemar James comes back healthy in the next few weeks, your lineup for linebackers is Mitchell, James, and Wingo?
Yeah.
So, and then maybe Scooby Williams in there as well?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds about right.
If you were going three deep, I think you'd have Spurlock and Nunnery, like third string.
Okay. What is the word from Spurlock? That was an interesting take. Wasn't mad at his high school film, but I like these guys' transfer portal evaluations. So what's been the vibes with Spurlock?
Kid from Alabama, went up. He's just young. Like, he only appeared in 2 games, I think, at Michigan last year. Was just a freshman, but like a freshman on a playoff team. So like, there's no slight to him that he didn't play. He gets coached a lot, I think is a nice way to say it. He gets coached a lot by Jay Bateman when we're out there. But young guy, essentially treat him as just a true freshman, because he is only been in college 1 year, and now he's in a brand new scheme, brand new system. So I don't think he plays a ton this year, but a guy that could grow into a linebacker that starts for you somewhere down the line.
Yeah. And what is decent for, some of these guys is while the position coaches haven't changed much on the defensive side of the ball, there is a new defensive coordinator as a whole. So it does give everybody kind of the same opportunity to learn, and you don't feel like you're so far back from a scheme perspective, right? So, again, it's now up to these guys. And I think that there's a lot of, talent there, not just a matter of putting it all together. But, I think the change in defense coordinator does allow, somebody like a Deuce Spurlock or a Manny Nunnery or Teradja Mitchell, whoever it might be, to be able to come in and they're learning with everybody else. And I think that when you learn with other people, sometimes that just makes everybody together better as a whole, right? Because now you all have to be bought in. It's not just, I'm taking over the scheme that I already know and everything else, and you're the one that has to kind of learn it on your own. Now we have to study together and grow together and build together. So it might even be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, despite the fact that it looks like Austin Armstrong is leaps and bounds better than Patrick Toney, at least in likability.